AskReddit by 2020 chapter. What are some little known relationship green flags? Deleted. But the feeling of being loved removes any jealousy or insecurities. Yikes. Establishing this expectation of a romantic partnership is likely to lead to some heartache. Jealousy and insecurity are both normal and expected emotions that can occur within their context of any relationship. They are also generally not about the relationship, but about the individual feeling them. Make room at the table for those feelings. Let them in. Try and hear what messages they are trying to tell you, and try to evaluate those messages within the context of your life. It's your responsibility to manage your stuff, and you're going to trash a lot of good relationships if you begin seeing those as signs it's not working. Edit. Tie for my first gold. Kind stranger. When you like the person that you become when you're with them. Everyone projects a different version of themselves around different people, and if you don't like who you become when you're with someone, it's probably not going to be the healthiest relationship so should bring out the best in you. My ex was always a nice, caring person around me, and when he would get around his friends, he would turn into a right douche. I wish he'd realize that these people aren't good to be around, but I'm not gonna stick around anymore and find out. The ability to coexist in very companionable silence. A friend of mine once said, when silence is not cringe, the friendship is real. If it's a chore you both hate, you do it together. My late husband and I both hated folding laundry, but it had to be done. So we always did it together. Made the chore less of a pain. My dad did that with us growing up. Anytime he needed to run errands or do housework, he would ask me or my brother to keep him company and talk to him. He said that made it was less about being bored and annoyed by doing chores and more happy hanging out and bonding time with his kids. It was always fun too. He genuinely did like spending time with us and joking around. We were never super close because he was pretty strict, but I always liked that quality time with him. It's a pretty convoluted story, but I was dating a guy, had to drive his car to get him from a situation, and wrecked his car due to mechanical failure, and called my mama to come get me so we could go get him. Rescued him. Then had to tell him I'd wrecked his car. His first question, "Are you okay?" My mom overheard. That one's a keeper. I've told this story before, but a week or two into dating my boyfriend, I was driving to work and one of the wheels fell off my car on the highway. I pulled over to the side of the road and called my boss and a tow truck, and then texted my new beau just for comfort. He asked where on the highway I was and said he'd be right there, without hesitating. When he showed up and ran across the busy highway and scooped me up into a hug, I felt so loved and safe and thought, oh shit, this could be the one. No matter how angry you are at one another, you will still go out of your way or they go out of their way to help. I'll be wicked pissed, but I'll angrily make my wife her favorite dinner even though I don't want to eat. No matter how angry we are at one another, usually only last a short period of time, we will never sabotage or try to teach them a lesson. Many times, it ends up being both apologizing to one another. Arguing and getting angry is just part of a relationship and unavoidable. It is how you deal with it that sets it apart from a healthy relationship versus a bad one. Edit. Thanks for the reward thingies. There is never any harm telling someone you love them. I'm chuckling at the mental image of angrily cooking a meal. Use my razor without asking. Harumph. Tell me I'm becoming my dad. I'll show you. Now, where'd I put the frickin' basil? Fucking make you the best goddamn spaghetti you ever had. We'll see who's being unreasonable. Came home from working a 12-hour shift one night to full dinner with my favorite dessert. Never had a girlfriend just decide to cook me a full meal for me to come home to like that. That's so sweet. When you're on a road trip and your partner feeds you fries and helps you drink your soda or whatever. I think that's such a nice simple gesture of kindness. Yes. And there are many responsibilities being the co-driver. Extra points. I feel like there's a lot of detailed examples that largely boil down to two things: empathy and emotional maturity. It's sad that those two are so often lacking, that people become surprised by it. My ex would tease me a lot and would tease me in front of his family. He would say things like, "Oh, she changed her outfit 3 times because she thought you guys would judge her," or "she didn't really want to come over but I convinced her." He would be laughing and joking, but these things would be the truth. When I was going to meet my current boyfriend's family, I was really nervous. In the car I said, "Please don't tell them how nervous I am. It's so embarrassing." He looked at me in shock and said, "I'm on your side." Why would I tell them that? And it was like a freaking light bulb. Love this guy. Deleted. Genuine support in your life goals. Even if that means you two will have to go long distance for a while, or will have to have conflicting work schedule, or it will make your relationship harder in some way. If they love you and want you to be happy, they will be genuinely interested in what you want to do and will try to support you to do that in whatever way they can. They won't hold you back in any way. This is something me and my so have been facing something similar to this recently. He's just graduated and is looking for a job. As much as I want him to stay close by so we don't have to do long distance for any more time than we have to, I'm going home for the summer. But if he gets a job the other side of the country, I won't stop him, and as long as I'm around I'll help him pack up. I love this. Telling the little details about your day. There's something really precious about that, and you feel in tune with the other person. When your so takes criticism from you seriously without immediately trying to turn it back on you. If the converse is also true, you two stand a great chance of going the distance. I think it's important to realize that this is where you can be out the gate, or it's somewhere you can get to. My wife reacts very poorly to criticism, not because she can't stand to have flaws in her behavior pointed out, but because she feels that when I criticize her actions, I'm telling her that she's garbage, and in a day or two I'll be telling her to move out. That's a direct effect of her upbringing, and what's important is that she recognizes the issue for what it is, and we talk about it. It's made us so much better. Being able to emotionally connect even after an argument. Absolutely. During the beginning of our relationship, whenever my partner and I would argue, he would try to hold my hand, rub my arm, or hug me as we talked. When I'm wound up, I feel like I need space to think, like physical space, so I would always push him away. We'd always get to the point in our arguments where he would just shut down or walk out of the apartment, and I couldn't figure out why. I thought that he just didn't care enough to talk these things out with me. Finally I learned that physical touch is a big part of his love language, and that was what he needed during after our fights to feel emotionally connected with me. Since then, when one of us gets upset, we hold hands and talk things out. It's a weird small thing that's made a huge difference in our relationship. Honesty. Genuine interest in each other's hobbies. Don't have to do them, but at least support it. Strong communication. You feel like you're hanging out with your best friend, except you wanna smash. Bold of you to assume I don't wanna smash my best friend. Being able to have healthy conflict without fear that conflict will cause the end of the relationship. It's a green flag, and a relief, to have natural disagreements and communication about those disagreements without constant fear that someone's going to hit the nuclear option. Edit. Also, doctoring my coffee and bringing it to me in bed was a smaller green flag. Edit 2. Doctoring meaning putting cream and sugar in, and thank you for the awards and gold Reddit friends. Underrated comment. Also, no matter how pissed off you are at EO, you're still supporting, respectful, and considerate of one another. Edit. For clarification, EO equals each other. And thanks for the gold, fellow Redditor. When you never have to question their whereabouts and you get that safe feeling. A lot of couples I know have tracking devices on their phone. How TF do you live like that? Edit. I see a lot of replies saying they do it for safety, convenience, or whatever, but at least one of the people in those relationships has control issues at the very least. Non-sexual compliments. Not really sure if this counts because we're not in a relationship, but last fall semester, my friend asked if I could help her with something. I hadn't seen her in a while, and while I was talking to her she said, "You got new glasses?" I said yes. "They really suit you." It honestly made my day. Compliments really go a long way. Your partner does things for you without asking and remembers little details. For example, I like eating with a fruit fork, the smaller version of the dinner fork. I actually googled that since our family calls them the little forks lol. Anyway, my partner remembers this and will grab it for me when we're dishing up food. Another good one is they make you feel appreciated. Edit. It may be a cake fork or salad fork. OMG, same here. My fiancé always grabs me the little forks, or as I like to call them, normal forks. She prefers the monster forks. Regardless, it's such a simple, nothing gesture that shows she's listening and she cares. Marrying that wonderful person this Saturday. Edit, been working all day and just checked in. Thank you all for the well wishes. We are super excited. Not the wedding we had envisioned when we got engaged, but it's going to be perfect. Laughter. And also, I've been with my partner for 40 years this month, and I still smile when I see him across the room. He still makes me laugh and my heart soars when I think of him. Awesome. And congratulations to you both. Been with my wife almost 10 years now, and she always tells me how she loves that I make her laugh at least once every day. I hope she still says the same thing 30 years from now. Listening to you and remembering the things you've said. Back when me and my boyfriend started dating, he'd sometimes bring up things that I've said before. My favorite foods, candies, etc. Made me super happy and could tell he genuinely cared. I'm so bad at remembering details like this. I've started to record them in my phone for friends and partners and it enables me to be so much more thoughtful. For example, a friend of mine mentioned that two of her favorite desserts were cannoli and cake. So for her birthday I made her a cannoli cake. She was so touched and didn't remember saying it, so it came across as very insightful. Haha. Eater. I'm so glad that my most upvoted comment is about my most fiercely kept secret in my friendships. Haha, hopefully it helps all of you out. I drink a lot of water and sometimes my BF would stay until late and I would fall asleep. Before leaving he always made sure I had a glass full of water on my nightstand in case I woke up thirsty. It's always the small details. Edit. I drink a healthy amount of water. Thank you for your concern lol. My boyfriend does this too. I'm never without a water glass. If he walks by and it isn't full, he fills it up. You don't feel like they are playing games. Communication is direct and you don't feel too nervous about what you should or shouldn't do or say, and you're not worried about what they do or don't do or say. Some butterflies is normal, of course. Edit. To clarify, my point here is it's possible to meet someone who, right from the beginning, you are not overly concerned about your interactions. You don't have to think too much about what to text them or when. Same with calls. They don't leave you wondering about when they will respond to you and what delaying means. They don't say or do cryptic things that you have to go home and call in a panel of friends to analyze. This is not to say that, in the beginning, you shouldn't take care to be on your better behavior and not to overshare. This is not game playing, it's being considerate. Cheesy but true, communication in a relationship is like cell phone service. Lose it, and you start playing games. Active listening. Not just being there while you talk, accurately giving opinions, advice if asked for, and generally caring for the conversation. Bonus. Active listening during an argument. Not trying to win, but trying to resolve the problem. Edit. Grammar. This is super important, but also the polar opposite is important. Being able to comfortably sit together in complete silence for prolonged periods is a good green flag. They trust you to stay at their apartment alone. Yeah, I thought I was the only one. The first time my partner said I could stay at his place in the morning to sleep in when he ran errands made me feel so good. They communicate if they will be delayed and how long they will be. Talk things through before it becomes a screaming match. Not after. Asks about boundaries, traumas, and doesn't judge you for them, but instead respects them. They respect your food issues, weather preferences, allergies, etc. Bonus points, they defend you to their blood relatives. That was something that saddened me about my ex. I'm celiac, no gluten, and every time we discussed restaurants, she'd get pissy about me checking if it had gluten-free options. If she shows equal interest in hanging out with you, if it feels like you're dragging them into going on a date, they're really not into you, no matter what they may say. Besides, let's be honest. Wouldn't you rather date someone who is as excited and interested in seeing you and you are in seeing them? Exactly this. I've instantly lost attraction to a few girls because they were just so fake in terms of interest. People can act all they want, but their interest in hanging out is a clear way to tell if they really care. You want your partner to be happy and not the other way around. Oftentimes people want to be in a relationship to solely make themselves happy. Edit. My point is different from making your partner happy and completely forgetting your own happiness. I heard somewhere that in a relationship it shouldn't be to make yourself happy, it should be to have someone that you can share that happiness with. If you two are able to compromise, they actually want to spend time with you. It feels easy, effortless, unforced, natural. This is a good sign of a real connection. Compromise feels like second nature. You both breath thoughtfulness and consideration towards each other. You figure things out together. You see each other, respect each other, and appreciate each other. This deserves more attention. I feel like a lot of people, especially younger people who've just begun dating, don't realize that love shouldn't feel forced or constantly difficult. Everyone goes through rough patches, but you shouldn't feel like you're in an eternal rough patch. You recommend them a book or movie and they actually take the time to check it out. Once I dated a guy who would lie about watching things I recommended. I didn't figure it out at first, but when he told me that I felt so heartbroken. Why? Very subtle things that show they're a genuine person. Remembering things that you've told them and following up is definitely a good sign. I'm always surprised if someone I haven't talked to in a while remembers a couple basic things I mentioned to them in passing. Like what I do for a living, what my biggest interests are. I love the fact that they're not bothered by the number of bodies buried in my basement. It's the small things. The doing something just because it will make your partner smile and wanting nothing in return. A few months ago I was having a bad day and had texted my partner about the basics and he said to head over to his place after work. I showed up so defeated by the day, opened the door, and my dog is there. He had spoken with my parents, picked up my dog from their house because he knew that's what I needed. He was cooking dinner and told me to just go cuddle on the bed with my dog while he took care of everything else. That's when I knew he and I were in it for the long haul. Is your partner comprehensive when you are sincere and honest? Are you free to say what you think without being scolded? Putting the shopping cart back. The ultimate litmus for being a good person. Calling, texting just to see how you're doing, even if they don't need anything. Edit. Use the wrong year despite being a grammar fanatic. My girlfriend does this a lot. Likewise, I do the same. It makes my day hearing from her, even if it's a short conversation. Delete it. I believe in you. Sending you strength to get yourself to a better position in life, where you are loved and truly valued. Good people are out there. Don't lose faith. Remembering things you said, like foods you don't like or topics you are passionate about. Willingness to attend family events, get to know your family, regardless of how difficult it might be. Maybe this is just me, but when someone doesn't care too much about people's opinions of them, like when they aren't afraid to act goofy in front of people they don't know. I absolutely love people that don't take themselves too seriously. Deleted. They text you first. Makes you feel good and you know they genuinely wanna talk and like your presence. I'm an hour ahead of my partner. Usually I'm the first to send a cute good morning type text and I switch them up a little each day. Well, Sunday night Monday morning I took off from work and was able to sleep in. Waking up to her sending the first move had me smiling like crazy. Was such a good feeling knowing it is reciprocated back to me. They're happy you have your own things you're into. You're happy they have their own things they're into. There's no battle of preferences, no nasty little hobby is done comments. Not a helpful comment, but I just wanted to say reading these gave me back some faith in humanity and reminded me of all the wonderful people in my life that I'm lucky enough to have experienced these green flags with. Thanks Reddit. Deleted. These are all great, but here's one that matters more for the longer term. Being competent at life. I'm not saying being rich or having a fantastic job or anything. I mean someone who is able to set a goal and work towards achieving it. No matter what that is, it makes a huge difference in life. Someone who can do that is less likely to sabotage your marriage for selfish, immature reasons. Someone who can do that probably won't drag you down with credit card debt. They have impulse control, so they probably won't cheat on you or leave you for some stupid reason. That person is a keeper. Arguments are productive and fair. You listen to each other even when you're angry. They can still be difficult, and everyone gets too angry sometimes, but if one or both of you is constantly mad and fixating on the same issue, it's time to go to therapy or jet out of there. When I met my current partner, we spent 3 consecutive days together. I generally don't like anyone in my personal space for more than a few hours. I also cried when he left to go home. We were long distance at the time. That's how I knew he was the one. You don't have to chase them down to hang out. Like my ex was severely mentally abusive and would punish me by blowing me off. This was after 4 years of dating. Not like we were fresh and it was appropriate to not respond for days. So we finally broke up and met my now husband. He actually wanted to see me all the time. At first I thought he was a little clingy. But then I realized, if you love someone you should want to be around them. When each person can find contentment without the other being present. A common red flag is the expectation that someone else can make you happy, when in reality that's something only you can do for yourself. The above is the opposite of that.